Hey everybody, it's me Marissa from Marissa-Anne on YouTube. I am back with another review, this time on Star Trek Adventures, the Voyager playable characters. So, um, in Star Trek Adventures, the original characters from all the other series, they are playable characters. The thing is, you can't exactly buy them a physical book of them at all. Instead, you will be downloading the just the player's guide for whatever series that you want. Okay, so I'm a fan of Voyager, so the one that I got was obviously the Voyager player's characters. And so what I did was I downloaded it, and then I went to FedEx Kinko's and I had them turn it into a booklet for me, so that it's just easier to carry around because sometimes I just don't like carrying my phone or my tablet around with all this information. I'd rather just carry the books. That's just me. I like carrying or holding physical books versus doing ebooks. Okay, so this is what the front cover looks like. And of course, I had like the clear covering because I just wanted it to look fancy and nice. So I'm going to read off the credits to you guys so you all know who helped create this particular manual. System design is by Nathan Dowdle. Some of these names are going to sound familiar to you. Line development, Sam Webb and Jim Johnson. Writing, Jack Giger and Nathan Dowdle. Editing, Jim Johnson. Proofreading, Jim Johnson and Keith Garrett. Character artwork, Michael Gardner and Robert Takei, courtesy of Star Trek Timelines. Art direction, Richard L. Gale, Sam Webb, Katya Thomas, and Jim Johnson. Graphic design, Matthew Combin and Michael E. Cross. Layout, Federico Sanz, Jim Johnson, and Michael E. Cross. Publishing director, Chris Birch. Operations director, Rita Birch. Managing director, Cameron Dix. Head of development, Rob Harris. Head of RPG development, Sam Webb. For CBS Studios, Marion Cordry and Brian Lady. And special thanks to Ben Robinson and Eagle Moss Hero Collector. So here's all of those credits from that I just read off, and then all of the legal stuff. Okay. Um. So here is table of contents for the character sheets right there. Okay. So there's an introduction. Then they talk about Captain Catherine Janeway, Commander Chakotay, Lieutenant Commander Tuvok, and so on and so forth. And they go through all the characters, and they also go through the ship itself that you can play. And all of these character sheets are pre-generated by them. So as I said before in a couple other videos, you can play the other characters. You just have to. Um, it took me a while to find them, so I went to Modifius's website, and that's where I found them. And I just downloaded them. It was probably like $4 or $5 to download the entire thing. So on the first page, here's an introduction, and I'll just read the introduction to you, and also the layout of Voyager. Basically, what's on the outside of Voyager. This is the whole layout of it. Okay, and I'm going to read the introduction to you, and um, I'll explain after I do the introduction. Um, so here goes. Now that contact with Starfleet Command has been reestablished, thanks in no small part to myself, they have requested a status update on all personnel to include their service records, performance reviews, and medical evaluations. Given my experience in working with the team on the Pathfinder project, Captain Janeway has entrusted me with consolidating that information and getting it ready to be sent back to Earth. Okay, so who do you think is probably talking at this point? Okay, because I'm going to tell you, it may not be who some of you think it is. It's going to be somebody else. This has provided me with a unique opportunity to share my own observations as well as demonstrate my effectiveness as the chief medical officer on board. I do, however, harbor lingering reservations. While I have no doubt that Captain Janeway will make good on her promise to return the crew home, I can't help but wonder what will be my fate once we have made it back to Earth. During my trip to Jupiter Station, I discovered that my program had been deemed obsolete and suitable only for manual labor or situations too hazardous to risk individuals. To be honest, I found the news to be concerning. To think that I may be found unsuitable for practicing medicine and relegated to janitorial duties. I'm a doctor, not a garbage man. However, as requested, that is a matter for another time. Regardless, I have finished compiling the data as well as my own notes and readied them for transmission to the Midas array. Now, in the first paragraph, just reading that by itself, I actually thought this was Lieutenant Barclay talking. Turns out it's not him. It's actually the doctor. And the reason why I thought it was Barclay was because he talked about reestablishing that connection with Starfleet Command, working with the team on the Pathfinder project, how Captain Janeway has entrusted him with all this information, you know. But then when you get to the second paragraph, it tells you who it was. The chief medical officer, obviously, is the doctor, you know. So, and then it says during my trip to the Jupiter station. So obviously, the only time the doctor made a trip to Jupiter station was during the episode of Lifeline. And for those of you, I've said it in several videos already that Lifeline is my favorite episode. Um, so this episode, this area Voyager um, takes place sometime, in my opinion, sometime um, after Message in a Bottle. And the reason why I say that is because it talks about the Midas array being used. But it also could take place sometime after the episode of Lifeline. So, depending on how you want to look at it, it could take place either after one of those two episodes. Um, Let me look up real quick. So, Lifeline takes place in season 6, and Message in a Bottle, I want to say that's either season 4 or season 5. I'm sorry, not Messenger. Message in a Bottle, yeah, takes place in season 4. So, at some point, the doctor wrote this. But in my opinion, since he brought up Jupiter Station, this whatever's going on in Voyager right now, just based off of reading the introduction, this takes place sometime. He wrote this sometime after uh, the episode Lifeline, which was season 6. So on the next page is the character sheet for um, Captain Catherine Janeway, and I'll just read you what the doctor wrote about her. Uh, Voyager has survived in the Delta Quadrant in no small part due to Captain Janeway's leadership and her unyielding dedication, bordering on outright stubbornness. Her greatest triumph, perhaps, is the blending of the Maquis into the crew, inspiring them to strive to the greatest ideals of the Federation. Further, she supported both Seven of Nine and myself to explore our own humanity. Though we may not always see eye to eye, I have nothing but respect for her. She maintains devotion to her principles even when compromise might result in a quicker route back to the Alpha Quadrant. Okay, so here's some of her attributes. Well, her attributes: control, which is a 9; daring 9; fitness 8; insight 9; presence 11; reason 10. Disciplines: command, she has a 4; con 2; security 3; engineering 2; science 4; medicine 1. Her focuses are astrophysics, Bohr collective, composure, First contact protocol, Starfleet regulations, and starship tactics. Um, and then it just goes on into her talents. So, crisis management. Captain Janeway may use the direct task twice per scene instead of once. Okay. Decisive leadership. In conflict, when Captain Janeway performs the assist task, the cost to keep the initiative is reduced from 2 momentum to 0. Right? Testing a theory. Captain Janeway may roll an additional d20 when attempting a science or engineering task, so as long as she succeeded at a task covering the same field earlier. Theory into practice. When Captain Janeway gains a d20 via the testing theory talent, she reduces the difficulty of the task by 2 to a minimum of 0. Okay. So her attacks, she has an unarmed strike, a phaser type 2, and her equipment contains a comm badge and a phaser type 2. So there you go. That's everything about Captain Catherine Janeway. Okay. And I'm going to go through the other ones, but I'm not going to read everything about them. Probably just the introduction that the doctor wrote about them. So here's the next one, Commander Chakotay. And I'll just let you guys just see what their attributes and disciplines are. Okay. And I'll read the introduction. Commander Chakotay is perhaps one of the greatest examples of what a Starfleet officer should be. Honorable, honest, and loyal. It should be no surprise that the captain named Chakotay first officer. While it is clear that their relationship may not always have been perfect, I have always felt that Commander Chakotay truly puts the welfare of the crew, regardless of their origins, first. Despite former Maquis affiliations, Commander Chakotay is one of the primary reasons that this crew continues to remain steadfast to the high moral standards of the Federation and Starfleet. Okay, so in all of them, they're going to list their traits. And when they say traits, basically what your species is. And they're going to list their values. And a lot of their values come from quotes from um, that they have made, that they have said in the shows, but that also plays a part in the game as well. Again, has their focuses, mainly what they're good at, part of what they're good at. They also have talents, and sometimes, depending on what their talent is, they can incorporate their focus into it. And it also lists, their attacks and whatever equipment that they have. For the majority of them, their equipment is always going to be a comm badge and a phaser type 2. Okay. All right. And that is Commander Chakotay. Next one is Lieutenant Commander Tuvok. And I'm just going to zoom this in so you all can see what his attributes and disciplines are. All right. And here's what the doctor has to say about Lieutenant Commander Tuvok. There are few others to whom I hold as much esteem as I do Lieutenant Commander Tuvok. His unfailing devotion to duty, not only to the crew, but also to the captain in particular, has inspired many of the crew, especially those former Maquis that have come to know him. His tactical expertise is unparalleled, and there are many times when the ship would not have survived were it not for his quick thinking and capabilities. Until the arrival of 7 of 9, Tuvok was also the de facto science officer aboard. Okay? And then again, it goes into his values, focuses, all that other stuff that I mentioned before about Commander Chakotay and Captain Janeway. Now, here's the other one, the man himself, the emergency medical hologram. And those are his attributes and his disciplines. Now, let's hear what the doctor has to say about himself. Now, we all know that that I'm a big fan of the doctor. He's my favorite character in Voyager, but he's pretty vain. Okay, so I want to see what he has to say about himself, because the guy, he's a hoot, but he still can be kind of vain. What can I say about myself that hasn't already been brought to your attention? I overcame the limitations of my programming to become a valued, trusted member of our family and crew. I became a mentor, an advisor, a virtuoso, an author, and a friend. While Starfleet may have discarded the rest of my kin, I only have proven the full value of the Mark Ones, and on many occasions our voyage through the Delta Quadrant would have come to a tragic end were it not for me. Now, it sounds a little vain, but that's true. I mean, if it wasn't for he pretty much saved everybody on that ship. I don't know how many times. And does he and he does get his he gets honor when honor is due on when he does that. I have single-handedly, saved each and every member of the crew on at least one occasion or more, and without me, Starfleet Command would not be receiving this report right now. Okay, so that's true. I mean, he did a lot for them. So again, it goes into his traits, which in his case, he's a hologram, and all of his values. Um, kind of like one of the values that he has is a walking, talking database of medical knowledge. Even though it's true, it still sounds like um, it sounds like something that he would say because he's all into himself, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, the doctor is that type of character where he's trying to be accepted by the crew. And so the only way for the crew to accept him is that he has to learn to accept himself, you know. And if that's how he sees himself, that's how the crew's going to see him, you know. But I just thought it was funny that they wrote that way in there, but I like it because that's true about him. His equipment is a comm badge, a med kit, a mobile emitter. Um, the one thing about the doctor is he has an unarmed strike and it's non-lethal. Because the doctor doesn't fight. He doesn't fight at all because if you hear him, if you ever watch the show, he always says that he took the Hippocratic Oath, and the last line of the Hippocratic Oath is to do no harm. Um, so, and if you ever were to play any of the video games of Star Trek Voyager or any of the Star Trek games and his characters in there, he doesn't really fight at all. All he does is go around. Like if you get hit, and you have the doctor with you, he will go and he'll heal you so you can continue to do whatever it is that your character is doing. And it kind of sounds like that's what he's going to be doing in here. There's also another section on here that talks about holograms in general, but this is specifically for the next generation era only. So if you want, to play a generic hologram, or even if you wanted to play Moriarty, these are the rules you would have to follow. And I'm sure, now I don't have the books for the next generation, but I'm sure these rules about the hologram is in there as well. Okay. Next one is Lieutenant Belana Torres. And then I'm going to zoom in, let you all see what her attributes, disciplines are, and what her talents and focuses are. Okay. So I'm going to read what the doc says about her. Our hot-tempered chief of engineering, Belana, is a truly remarkable technician who would have enjoyed a career of esteem and commendation had she ever learned to control her outbursts. I have had the wonderful opportunity to watch her grow and mature during our voyage. While she may still possess the fiery temper of her mother, she also has the kindness and sensitivity rivaling any human I've ever met. Just don't tell her I said so. I would not be who I am today had it not been for her and Mr. Kim. And that's true. I mean, Belana does have a fiery temper, but she is loyal to a fault, loyal to a T. And she will always be there for that crew and do whatever she can to help them. And even though I know her and the doctor bump heads all the time, she will always make sure that he is up and running because she realizes the importance of him being there. If they lose him, then they're literally on their own. The only people they can really depend on for help at this point would be Tom Paris, and to a certain extent, actually Tom Paris and Seven of Nine, because they will be the only two on there with medical knowledge. So um, that that's why the doctor holds her at a very high esteem, very high plateau because of that. Her equipment is a comm badge, phaser type 2, and an engineering toolkit. All right. So the next person that I'm going to tell you about is Lieutenant Tom Paris. And here are his attributes, his disciplines, focuses, and talents, and everything you need to know about him. Okay. Mr. Paris has had quite a transformation since I was first activated. Initially, I found him to be almost intolerable, but since I have discovered him to be both thoughtful and courageous. While his medical skills are rudimentary at best, his ability to pilot a starship is second to none, and he has proven himself time and again to both the captain and the crew. While I personally cannot stand his lax attitude or his sense of humor, his personality has endeared him to most of the crew, despite his troubled past. So, again, this is Lieutenant Tom Paris. Um, his equipment, which is, I'm kind of surprised that they didn't add to his equipment. His equipment is a comm badge and a phaser type 2. Now, I'm surprised they didn't add a med kit to it. And the reason why I say that is because in the show he was working on he worked in sick bay, so you would think that they would give him a med kit, just for that, just because that's what he did on the show. So but maybe there's a way in this in the game where you can gain more equipment, and a med kit would be one of them. Okay, so we're gonna go to the next character, and that's good old Ensign Harry Kim. Our forever ensign. So here are his attributes and his disciplines, focuses, talents, attacks, determination, stress, equipment, all of that. No member of Voyager's crew more embodies the sense of awe and wonder that drives so many to serve within Starfleet than young Harry Kim. He is an extremely talented engineer, and it is this exceptionalism that earned him the posting as Voyager's operations officer. Despite his age and rank, his enthusiasm and positive good nature made him a beacon of hope among the crew. He was the first to reach out and befriend Mr. Paris, despite the strong misgivings of the other officers on board. I believe it is this friendship that helped Mr. Paris integrate into the crew. Harry is also the youngest bridge officer entrusted by the captain to command the bridge. So he's absolutely right in what he said about Harry. Harry is that one. Uh, he's that one guy that everybody loves to be around. He tries to keep everybody, intact. Try to let everybody know, like, hey, this isn't the end. We will always find a way to get out of whatever situation that they're in. Also, what the doctor didn't mention is that Harry was the one that activated him on the at around the time when their original doctor uh, died. And eventually, Harry did also become friends with the doctor as well. And if you also ever watch the episode Warhead, you see the how Harry describes the doctor to this um, sort of bomb, the sentient bomb, and he describes the doctor to a T, and how the doctor has improved himself, and how he has affected a crew, and how even Harry was affected by him. Harry's equipment is a comm badge and a phaser type 2. So, I'm surprised they also didn't give him a tricorder because I would think he would need a tricorder and also like the Lana, maybe even an engineering toolkit. But just like I said about Tom Paris, it's probably one of those things where you can gain or purchase those equipments as the game goes along. Okay, so now we have 7 of 9. Here are her attributes and her disciplines, focuses, talents, attacks, equipment, everything that you need to know about her. Okay. One thing I want to say about 7 of 9 is this: is that Voyager is a science vessel. Why isn't there a chief science officer on board that ship? That's the one thing I never understood. Because in my opinion, if I were to pick a chief science officer, I'm choosing 7 of 9 because she knows everything and she's able to learn faster, than a lot of people because of what happened to her, with the Borg. Even though it was treacherous and terrible what she went through, she gained the ability to be able to learn and adapt quickly to situations than anybody else could. So here's what the doctor has to say about 7 of 9. His crush. So I have had no greater I have had no greater I have had no greater pleasure than guiding Seven on her quest to reclaim her humanity. She has become my closest friend and confidant, something I deeply missed after Kes departed. While she continues to call herself 7 of 9 and not by her birth name, she is no longer the Borg drone that was brought aboard during our encounters with species 8472. I have watched her delve deeply into her exploration of her human self, from romance to music, and I can honestly say that, while her delivery may not always be the best, she cares deeply for this crew. She may sometimes be difficult to deal with, but she has always worked for Voyager's best interests, her new collective, if you will. So, her traits she has 2 traits, which is human and a liberated Borg. Okay, so yeah, so that's pretty much everything about her. Her equipment is a combat and a phaser type 2, but in my opinion, they also should have gave her a tricorder with it, just because that's just my opinion. Because when you watch the episode, she always had any episode with 7 of 9, she has a pad and or tricorder in her hand. So that's why I think she should have had that as well. But then again, like I said, probably in the game you can be able to gain that for her. Also, in here, they have is 2 pages that talks about liberated Borg, and the liberated Borg can only be used during the next generation era. And I talked about the next generation era before when I was discussing the holograms. So the reason why you have a liberated Borg section for the next generation era is, just think about what's his name, Hugh. So if you wanted to play and I think that's the reason why they have a liberated Borg on there for the next generation, is because of that character. And also there was several other characters that we saw in Next Generation that were liberated, and I don't remember what the episode was, but it was it was a 2-part episode on the Next Generation with Data and his brother Lore, and Lore was able to convince these liberated Borg to join him or whatever it is that he was trying to do. I don't remember. So everything that you need to know about liberated Borg and about Borg implants is on these 2 pages. Okay. Now we have 2 more characters after this, and then Voyager herself. So here is good old Kes, friendly Kes, the one that we always depend on. If you ever feel down, Kes is gonna find a way to make you feel better. So those there right there are her traits and values and attributes and disciplines and everything you need to know about her in order to play her. So Kes has grown to become a deeply valued and respected member of Voyager's crew due to her compassion, empathy, and genuine kindness. Though her species' lifespan is exceptionally short, Kes pursues life with passionate curiosity. Given her adult appearance, it is easy to forget that she is only a few years old. Kes has formed especially deep friendships with Captain Janeway, Tuvok, and myself. And though her romantic relationship with Neelix is not what it once was, she still cares deeply for him. Initially, working to help sustain hydroponics, Kes's mental aptitudes allowed her to study a variety of topics and learn important skills in a short time frame, including becoming proficient enough in medicine to serve as ship's nurse and field medic. More intriguing, however, are her still developing psychic abilities, with an extent and power that could be beyond what is commonly thought possible. Uh, and so here are her equipment. Her equipment is a comm badge, a phaser type 2, a med kit, and a medical tricorder. Um, so uh, that the her having those psychic abilities is and the mental aptitudes is probably it is the reason why she was able to learn so fast um, the medical terminology. If she wanted to, and I believe the doctor even said it in the show that if she wanted to, she could even become a doctor as fast as she was learning. Um, I do miss the character of Kes. Kes was a very nice, very kind person. Um, she knew how to see everything, how to take something negative and turn it into something positive. And she was also basically the spokesperson for the doctor. And her and the doctor had also had a very close relationship. Um, to me, it was a little bit more than a friendship, more than a mentor and student type friendship. Um, and when I say that, I'm not talking about being in love with each other because that was never the case with them. But to me, their relationship goes a little beyond friendship just because of Kes always being there for him and teaching him. He's teaching her the ropes of medicine. She's teaching him the ropes of humanity. So um, they were both each other's mentor and student, if you will. Okay. And also with Kes and Tuvok, when Kes started realizing her psychic abilities, Tuvok was there to be able to help her to be able to control those psychic abilities, to be able to keep her emotions in check. Because depending on what emotion she was feeling, sometimes will decide like how she's going to react, you know, based on her psychic abilities. Okay. And as far as actual an actual player, natural beings, living, breathing character. The last one is Neelix himself. And I don't care what anybody says. I love Neelix. So stop giving Neelix a bad rap. This man is not annoying. In fact, Neelix is that type of guy who will be whatever you need him to be when you are in your lowest state. And that's what Neelix was. Neelix was a multifaceted person be based on what you needed from him. I mean, Neelix wore a lot of hats. He was more than just a ship's cook. He was also an ambassador. I mean, the children that were on board, he helped take care of them. So he was a teacher for them. If you want to say babysitter, you could probably say that. Teacher. Um, he was a negotiator. He was a liaison. He was a whole bunch of stuff on Voyager. So I like uh, Neelix a lot because Neelix did whatever he could to make life easier aboard that ship because he knew the state that the crew was in. The crew doesn't belong in the Delta Quadrant because that's not where they're from. They belong in the Alpha Quadrant. And also because of what Neelix went through, Neelix lost his family on his home planet. And he knew how that felt. And the crew, they're 70,000 light years away from home. That's like 70-ish years away from home. So Neelix knew how they felt. They technically lost their families too, to a certain extent. Because these people weren't sure they were going to make it home in time. So Neelix did whatever he can to make Voyager feel like home for them. And I applaud Neelix for that. Okay. So here are Neelix's attributes and disciplines, focuses, talents, equipment, all of that. Okay. Traveler, scavenger, guide, chef, ambassador, and moral officer are all roles Neelix has accepted or simply assumed during his time on USS Voyager. From the moment he joined the crew, the industrious Talaxian has worked tirelessly to find ways to help his new family, often creating new positions or identifying needs overlooked by the Federation crew. Though he may not benefit from the extensive training of his Starfleet crewmates, Neelix is regularly able to turn his anecdotal experiences into useful suggestions. This ability to quickly adapt to changes in circumstance has served him and the crew well, allowing him to seamlessly shift his attention whenever his current duties prove no longer applicable. But beyond his knowledge of the Delta Quadrant, it has been Neelix's friendly and supportive personality that has earned him the trust and friendship of the homesick crew. No matter what dire circumstances the crew may find itself in, Neelix always has words of encouragement ready and regularly makes keeping the crew's spirits high his personal mission. So his equipment is a comm badge and a phaser type 2. Okay. Hey, because even Neelix got to defend himself too. So, I mean, I'm just saying. But I'm sure there's other stuff for him that you can collect as well, just because, Neelix wore many hats while he was on that ship. And so, as I said before, I love the character of Neelix because Neelix knows what it's like to lose your family. Neelix knew that. And he wanted to make sure that the crew doesn't feel that pain that he felt. And so he did what he could, to turn Voyager from just a science vessel into an actual home. That to me, that's what he did. He turned Voyager from a ship into a home for a group of people that don't know each other. And all these people ended up, because of Neelix's actions and the actions of everybody on that ship, they all became a family. They just didn't become friends. They literally became a family. And I'm sure when they all returned home, they all just stuck together because they shared that experience of being in that Delta Quadrant. And they all lost family and friends on not they all lost family and friends, you know, not just when they entered the Delta Quadrant, but on their way home, they also lost family and friends as well. And that brings you together and it makes you a family, and it makes you, you know, have this different type of relationship with these people because you all know each other very well. And last but not least, the ship herself, the Deep Space Explorer USS Voyager. Okay, here's everything you need to know. The systems and the departments. Um, and I'm just gonna, and you know what? I'm just gonna read you everything about this on this page, so that because it's different than the player sheets. Okay. USS Voyager, NCC 74656, Federation Starship. Okay. Under the command of Captain Catherine Janeway, the USS Voyager was a brand new vessel, only the second of her class, and she was part of the Intrepid class. Voyager had been out of dry dock for only a few days when she received her first assignment: hunt down Maquis terrorists hiding in the Badlands. For this mission, she gained the assistance of Tom Paris, son of Admiral Paris, a convicted traitor currently serving his sentence in a penal facility in New Zealand on Earth. Paris's piloting skills and knowledge of the Maquis were to be invaluable in locating the Valjean, commanded by a former Starfleet officer by the name of Chakotay. Disaster struck. After departing from Station Deep Space Nine, Voyager disappeared, seemingly lost with all hands. The other thing, like I said, about Voyager is that she is in the Intrepid class, but she's a deep space explorer type vessel. It's pretty much a science vessel, and that was pretty much the whole point of Voyager. The class Intrepid, commissioned in 2371, mission profile, Pathfinder, and reconnaissance operations. Traits: Federation starship, top of the line. Okay, systems: comms 10, engines 11, structure 8, computers 11, sensors 10, weapons 9. So if you remember about Voyager, it was a pretty heavily armored ship. Um, from what I've read on some fandoms, and this is just what I read on the fandoms, I don't know if this is true or not, but I guess Voyager was designed to defend itself more so than go out and attacking. Departments: Command 2, Security 2, Science 4, Con 4, Engineering 2, Medicine 1. Has a power of 11, a scale of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 shields. Resistance is 4. The crew support total is 4. Weapons: she has phaser arrays, photon torpedoes, and a tractor beam. Talents: advanced sensor suits. Unless the ship's sensors have suffered one or more breaches, whenever a character performs a task assisted by the ship's sensors, reduce the difficulty of the task by 1. Emergency medical hologram. The ship has an emergency medical hologram. Note that, unlike most ships with this talent, the MH on Voyager is a regular character, not a supporting character. So, um, I'm guessing what this is saying is that you will treat the uh, emergency medical hologram as a regular playable character um, on Voyager. It's not a supporting character, and usually and I think the supporting characters are probably considered the non-playable characters. I may not be accurate on that. No, I think they are. I think a supporting character. I take that back. I believe the supporting characters can be played, if I'm correct. Improved reaction control system. Whenever a task to move or maneuver the ship would increase in difficulty because of obstacles or hazards, reduce the difficulty by 1 to a minimum of the task's normal difficulty. And this actually may have something to do also with Tom Paris when he's the one piloting. There has to be. Let me go back and look at his um, talent, because there has to be something on there about that, because he's the main pilot for that ship. Okay, so I'm thinking bold. I'm sorry, precision and maneuvering, where it says Tom reduces the difficulty of any task that requires precise maneuvering or avoids a potential collision by 1 to a minimum of 0. It may have something to do with flying Voyager, because there has to be a way for Tom and the Voyager ship to be able to uh, work together, to be able to piggyback off of each other. So the last one for USS Voyager is improved warp drive. Whenever the ship spends power to go to warp, roll roll 1. I don't remember what the delta symbol was for off the top of my head. I used to know. but roll one delta symbol for each power spent. For each effect, oh, roll one effect. That's what it stood for. The delta symbol means effect. Roll one effect for each power spent. For each effect rolled, a single point of power is not spent. Okay, and that is, and here's the back page of it. It's just advertisement for Star Trek Timelines and frosted cover on the back. And that's it. That is Star Trek Adventures Voyager playable characters. So I am looking forward to playing this because I got everything that I need to even do a Voyager campaign. And actually, I also got everything I need to do any type of campaign because really all you need is just some dice and the core rulebook, and boom, there you go. You got everything that you need. So before I go, I just want to let you all know that please continue to like, comment, and please subscribe to my channel. Subscribing to my channel is free. I'm not charging anybody for anything. I'm not doing any Patreon things right now. It's going to be a long time before I get to that. But once I get to 100 subscribers, I will be doing a giveaway. The giveaway will consist of a copy of some digital art that I own, but I'm going to actually mail you the digital art. I'm just not going to email it to you. A couple of Pokemon cards as well, and a gift card, a $10 gift card to, I'm not sure just yet. I'm thinking Amazon. So, please, like I said, please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. And once we get to 100 subscribers, I will be doing a giveaway. And again, it will consist of digital art. It will consist of the Doctor because that's my favorite character. It will also consist of Pokemon cards because I love Pokemon. And also, like I said, a $10 gift card to Amazon because I like shopping at Amazon. And the reason why I'm doing that is because, you know, like these are some of the fandoms that I like, and I'm sure those are some of the fandoms that you like as well. So again, thank you for watching my video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.